Like, get over that you're 20 and have no money. What you need is knowledge. What you need is to be hanging around people who have that knowledge and are doing what you want to do. Because the more you soak that up like an AI, the quicker you will be that billionaire or millionaire or whatever you're trying to be. But what you have is youth. And that is the most valuable thing.
Welcome to the Our Family Invest podcast, where we explore what happens when family, purpose, and entrepreneurship align. I'm Mike, a former Maui firefighter who reached financial freedom in just 5 years through real estate investing.
And I'm Caroline, a Maui-based realtor here to educate, empower, and elevate my clients to make smart real estate moves, whether right here at home or through my nationwide network.
Together, we're chasing our full potential as individuals, as a couple, and as a family. We're here to build a life that matters. And each week we share the stories of couples who inspire us to love harder, dream bigger, and grow bolder. So join us and let's learn, share, and grow together. Today we're joined by Rich and Kathy Fettke, co-founders of RealWealth, a real estate network with over 60,000 members and over $1 billion in transactions. Kathy is a media regular on CNN, CNBC, Bigger Pockets, and more, and the best-selling author of Retire Rich with Rentals. Rich is a former ESPN X Games athlete, a master certified coach, and author of The Wise Investor. Together, they co-wrote Scaling Smart, another bestseller for entrepreneurs looking to grow without burning out. Their story began with a devastating cancer diagnosis, a moment that forced them to reevaluate everything. What followed was a bold pivot into real estate, a mission to empower others, and a marriage strengthened through purpose. In this episode, we explore how they built a life of freedom and impact, the mindset shifts that shaped their path, and what it truly means to scale smart in business, in wealth, and in family. All right, you guys, welcome to the show. We're super excited to have you. Very few people that inspire us quite like you guys do.
Aww.
And, I feel like we know you pretty well, but tell us what we don't know. So I want to know, Rich, if you were to describe Kathy, not her accolades and all the wonderful things that she's done, but who she is on a quiet Saturday morning, what would you say? And then Kathy, could you tell us the same about Rich?
Absolutely. What's a quiet Saturday?
I was just going to say, what? Quiet?
That's Kathy. So Kathy is a little girl in a woman's body, and she's also a little girl, and I mean that in the best way. That she's fun, she's silly, she's playful, and she goes big. Meaning, I'll wake up in the morning and walk out, and there'll be a note on the counter saying, "Gone surfing, love you." And she'll be charging the waves when there's swell. She'll climb up a cliff with me, rock climbing, jumps out of planes with me. So that's what some people might not know about this little girl next to me.
Amazing. That's
you.
amazing. Kathy, try and follow that up.
Oh, man. Okay. What's Rich like? Yeah, some people probably already know all those things about Rich, but maybe what they might not know is that he does do a quiet morning. He meditates, he stretches, he goes out and watches the sunrise, does the sauna, swims in the cold pool, does the cold plunge. I mean, he lives lives very, very intentionally. So yes, extreme athlete for sure, but he actually starts his mornings a little more quiet than I do.
And then you reconvene together. I love it.
Yeah.
How did you two meet, and what was your first date like?
I actually signed up for a personal growth seminar that I didn't really want to do, but I kind of got forced into, and it all changed the minute Rich walked in the door, and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to like this. Yeah, he lifted his arms up and I saw his abs and I'm like, yeah, I love this course. There was actually a rule that you couldn't date anyone during the 90 days. And so we broke a rule.
Maybe more than once.
That's awesome. So I do remember, it was probably, it was a little while ago now, but I remember you posting on your Instagram, Rich, this picture, and there was a horse and there was you in a Prince Charming outfit and Kathy, and that was the wedding proposal, I assume. Can you take us through that? Kathy, what was your thoughts going into this? Did you see this coming? Did you know he was going to be dressed up and riding in on a horse?
I didn't know any of it. We had only been dating, 9 or 10 months. I had been through a divorce, so I was very not ready to do that again. But I got a call from Rich, who is just an ultimate romantic. And he's like, if you could just be ready, I've got a surprise for you, wear this red dress I love and just be ready at 4. Well, I had a talent agency at the time, which was even busier than real estate. So I forgot. And all of a sudden there's a knock at the door and this limo pulls up and this man is out there and he's like, I'm looking for Princess Catherine. And I'm like, oh, 1 minute. I run, get the red dress, come back, get in the limo. I'm like, there's probably a lot of our friends in this limo. There was no one. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess there's a party. And, the limo takes me past anywhere anyone I know lives. And then I start to freak out and think, was this dumb that I got in this limo? Anyway, I end up in the middle of nowhere in this park, Mount Diablo Creek State Park in Walnut Creek. And there's nobody around. I get out. And then all of a sudden, I see across the hill, there's this horse galloping towards me. And it was my current husband. Yes. Galloping on the horse with a bouquet of flowers and the ring. I don't know how he did it. Red tights, the whole deal. I had to say yes.
Right.
Please
She
say
kept calling
yes.
me Prince Charming when we first met. And so part of my marketing was to embody
The
that.
prince.
And
Yeah,
the marketing worked.
Yeah,
That's
definitely
awesome.
worked.
I love it. And I love that you have the photo to capture it.
Oh, yeah. Well, so it turns out I wasn't alone. All of our friends were behind the bushes taking pictures.
So fun. I love
So fun.
that. Great job, Rich. What's something small or seemingly ordinary about your partner that brings you quiet joy?
Oh, that's a really good question. Brings me quiet joy. I was going to say her body, but that's not quiet. It's going to go back to that little girl, the playfulness. There's a certain playfulness and innocence and fun that I just love about
I
it.
like the body part. Well,
Yeah.
We'll keep that in there.
We'll go back to the body. Kathy, what about you?
my goodness, there's so many things. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind, and I might cry, but just how, yes, I am actually going to cry. He's such a big, strong man and a warrior. If it were any other century, he'd be gone out fighting wars all the time. But at the same time, you should see him play with the grandkids, with our kids. It's the cutest thing. And I feel like I'm so in love again every time I see that. Just even yesterday, taking our little 5-year-old grandson, helping him rock climb our tread wall and, encouraging him. And it's so sweet. I love it.
Yeah.
You guys know the tread wall.
You guys are so good with everyone. You seem to be so patient and so kind and so loving. And I love the fact that you're outwardly affectionate towards each other and towards everyone else, right? And I think, I remember the first time that I met the two of you. I don't know if you remember this, but we were on a boat for a Maui mastermind out here and I was taking pictures. And I remember seeing you guys. I'm like, wow, these guys are so in love. You seem like a newlywed couple.
Oh,
Just like, and every time I see you, you kind of exemplify that. You're just more in love every day. And I feel like you're one of these couples that grows more and more beautiful with age.
cool.
So I love seeing you guys progress. We are so inspired by the two of you. You guys are going back now. We take you back to, you're young, you're in love, you just got married, everything's going great. And then Rich gets this cancer diagnosis. Kathy, take us through what's going on in your head at that time.
It was funny because the course that we met, and funny, I mean, weird that I said that, but the course we met in was all about to think is to create. And we were very much in that, intentional mindset. When, Rich is like I said, a big, strong warrior guy that doesn't ever complain about anything physical. Like if he falls off his bike and breaks a rib, you'll never know, it was just happened. Yeah. So this day he walked in and came and gave me a hug and burst into tears, and he only would cry if he was happy. So this wasn't those kind of tears. And he said that the doctor had just told him he probably had 6 months to live. We had a 2-year-old running around the house. It was just like, no, that's all I can say is my mindset was no. And like you jump off bridges, a freckle's not going to kill you. No, this is not going to happen. So I don't know if it was, what kind of mechanism, like some sort of protectionist mechanism within me, but I just didn't believe it. So I didn't get too upset about it. Maybe that was dumb. But what I did do is say, I really want him to get off the treadmill. He had been coaching. He was a business coach at the time, coaching so many people internationally. He had come out with a big book that year called Extreme Success, and just on the road all the time, working all the time. So the main thing that came to mind for me was, how do I help him just take care of himself? And if there's this tiny chance the doctor's right, which again, I refuse to believe, let him have the best 6 months of his life, So that's when I thought, I got to take over the money. I've been a stay-at-home mom. He can't be working these kind of hours, especially, if the doctor was right, which again, I didn't believe. Then that's how RealWealth was created. It was just like, how do I take this burden off of him during this time?
Did this lead directly into real estate investing? Had you tasted that, or it was RealWealth? We're gonna take what Rich is kind of doing, but change it to real estate.
Oh, there was nothing. We didn't know anything about real estate except that we were house hacking. So I had been in broadcasting. I had been in the news business as a stay-at-home mom. I had kept a radio show just on news, current events and stuff. It was just a regular show and not that great, honestly. And then I just pivoted to, what? How do I make money? I forget how to make money. I don't know how. I've been a stay-at-home mom. It just kind of became that focus. And of course, that led me to real estate. And it's not like Rich stopped working. He was still working during all of this.
All the clients to take care of.
Yeah.
But then you're the mortgage broker that you had on.
Well, so then, I just thought, well, if let's make money right now. How do I do that? Oh, sponsors. I'd never gotten sponsors for the show. So I brought on a mortgage broker. And in order to make the content interesting, I came home to Rich and I was like, how do I make this interesting? Boring. And he said, just interview his clients, see what they're doing with the mortgages. And that's when I'm like, oh my gosh, we started interviewing people it wasn't called house hacking then. It was called just living in your house and renting out rooms,
Yeah.
Or like living in a home and doing a live and flip, fixing it up and selling it, making a $500,000 profit, tax-free, these types of things if you're married, seeing people hold rentals. And so because I was interviewing this guy's clients, the phone started ringing off the hook with people who wanted to do the same thing. So his business, like the sponsorship, worked really well for him. And so well, he said, I can't really do this. Do you want to work for me? I can't handle all the business. So I became a mortgage broker. That was sort of my entree into real estate.
Wow.
I didn't know that. I knew that you did the radio show and I knew that you interviewed other real estate investors kind of at the time. That was kind of the transition, right? Mm-hmm. But I didn't know that that's kind of what fired up the mortgage broker on your end.
You created him so much business and you were learning as you were interviewing.
Yeah, he was just super, he just wanted to teach people the power of real estate. And
so cool.
So as a co-host, I ended up making him a co-host, and he just blew my mind and the mind of our audience. Because, even just little things like how to get the money. It really all comes down to the money, right? If you have money, you're probably going to buy real estate. And we just always thought, well, someday we'll have that money. And what we didn't understand is the leverage piece. And that just opened up my mind.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
So now you've helped literally thousands of people invest in real estate, right? But if you were starting over today and you only had $10,000 and you had zero contacts, what would be your first 3 moves?
I'll start. Move number 1 would be learn, get around people who are doing it, find some mentors, just get obsessed with learning because that's going to be the solution to taking action. Then you're going to be able to choose what it is that you're going to focus on because there's so many in real estate. There's so many different options, right? You can do self-storage, you can do single family home, you can do buy and hold, you can flip, and so much. So it's like, it's the old, if you chase 2 rabbits, you end up with none. It's the same exact thing. It's like, find out, do your learning, do your mentoring, and then look at, that's the type of life I want. I want to be like that person. I want to do what they're doing. Yeah, because I was looking into doing flipping early on. And that's what I started to do is ask a lot of people, tell me about a day in your life. What's it like to be a flipper? And after I heard, I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to do something else. I was like, I had worked a job long enough. So that was my awareness. What about you? What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely learn everything you can. That would be number one. Number two, get around as many people as you can. So I'm going to say you did 2 points. And the third, get really clear. We wrote about this in Scaling Smart. Get so clear about what you're trying to achieve, because too often people, will say, oh, I'm going to flip, and not really realize, well, wait, what I really want is passive income. I don't want active income, and it's taxed differently. It's treated differently. So really understanding your why. And of course your why being all the things that are important to you, but like, why real estate? What do you want it to do for you? We had this guy come to RealWealth who was an artist, and after helping him really understand what he was trying to achieve through real estate, all he wanted was $3,000 passive per month to be able to be a full-time artist. That would be his dream come true. We were able to help him create that $3,000 passive within 6 months just by a few changes to his portfolio. And he didn't need to be a multimillionaire. This was a guy who felt like one, because if he were a multimillionaire, he'd be doing art, and he was. So
Wow.
yeah, just kind of getting clear on what you're trying to achieve.
That's awesome. That is my story. Exactly. I went to art school. I was a firefighter. I started investing through short-term rentals, not because I wanted short-term rentals, but because I wanted to get to that passive income stage. And we knew that short-term rentals was the best vehicle at the time to get us to where we wanted to be. But it wasn't about just growing massive, massive wealth. It was about getting to the time where I could spend every breakfast and every dinner with my son and watch him grow and take him on trips and having those experiences and bringing those into our lives. So when we got the first level financial freedom through short-term rentals, then we started investing in syndications and more midterm and long-term rentals. And now we're completely passive to the point where we have property management on our own island to take care of our rentals here, because we don't want to. And so we'll give up, you know what I mean though? Like, we'll give up the income for the lifestyle that we wanted. That was our why. So when we got there, it's like, I say this a lot, but a lot of people see this goalpost, like, this is it. But that goalpost keeps moving, right? And they can't seem to like stop and remember why they got in the game in the first place, right? Most of the time, I don't think real estate is the why, right? It's what real estate can give you that becomes, why you're doing this.
100%. Yep.
Yeah. So would anything change if you had $100,000 instead of 10,000, or would you still say the same thing?
No, I mean, yes, absolutely. Learn. I would be it, and then invest as soon as you can, as soon as you feel like ready and competent, and you've chosen what you want to invest in. Because the mindset, you guys know this, the mindset shift completely changes when you have your first investment property, whatever that is. All of a sudden, you're like, I'm an investor now, and you start to see things and differently. You start to operate differently. So.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say to that is it's the same, because it's not enough 10,000 or 100,000 to get you where you probably want to be. It's a starting place.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really want to help people understand that until you've got $1 million, you're not, $1 million will probably yield you about $60,000 to $80,000 a year in passive income. 100,000, it's going to, what, 1,000. So you're not, you got to kind of look at your return is usually going to be between 6 and 8% on buy and hold. It might be higher if you're a private money lender. This is not including appreciation. So I say for people starting out, your goal really shouldn't be cash flow. In my opinion, your goal should be to grow that 100 to 1 million. That's going to change your life. $1,000 a year or whatever, a few $100 cash flow a month isn't. So that's the biggest mistake I see people making, is trying to get into cash flow too soon, because cash flow properties don't generally grow. You either need to be flipping and creating equity there, or you need to be buying in high growth areas where there's lots of appreciation, or buying a deal so good that there's upside in it. But it's to me the goal: get to 1 million.
Yeah. And I think the easiest way to do that, you kind of alluded to that, Kathy, is that appreciation too. I mean, you can't really bank on appreciation, but that's what really grows your wealth. right?
Absolutely.
Cash flowing properties. Okay. You can buy a $200,000 home and it might cash flow, but you may need a new roof on that thing. And that wipes out 3 to 5 years of your cash flow.
That's
Right.
right.
So for us, we got lucky because we started investing in Hawaii. And so we held a property for 6 years. We added value to it and we walked away with $1 million profit. That's unheard of in most
Incredible.
areas, but
You did
in
it fast. You
California,
played the cash flow game quickly.
we played quickly. Understanding that too is like, okay, well, we'll double down on those markets in order to see that kind of appreciation instead of the cash flow. So
And that kind of happened with us too. Like our first property that we house hacked, we took a big house and turned it into a fourplex and rented out, 3 different spaces. And it was tough. I mean, I don't want to say it was tough, but there were times Rich had to wait in line for the bathroom. Let's put it that way. But that property also made us $1 million.
Right.
So you do, some people don't realize or don't want to make that sacrifice, but it's worth it.
But we got started. That's the difference. I have a friend I've known for over 40 years. And for the last 20 years, since we've been investing more, he's been talking about buying his first income property or his own property.
Is that my dad?
And he keeps, and he keeps talking about it. And he talks about all the reasons why he's scared. And he's like, looks at from market to market to market, over analyzing, and he still hasn't done it. And now he just kicks himself because he sees
And he should.
what's happened in the last 10 years. Like what you guys bought 6 years ago, if he did the same thing,
Oh my gosh.
he'd be in a completely different place right now. So
And he would come to our events and so he knew he had the info.
We learned.
paralysis is real.
Yeah. Yeah. And that comes down to the action, no matter how much money you have in the bank. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you guys seeing right now in the real estate space that most investors are missing?
Oh, I'm going to go with AI. It's here to stay. And we've created a new being. Humankind has created a new being, and that being is getting smarter and smarter and smart fast. So I think I'm deep diving into it, learning as much as I can, because if you don't, we're going to be left behind.
You'll just be a human.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And I would say it's just like, just get over it, man. Headlines are never positive, should I say.
So true.
Rich and I have been around several decades and several recessions. And, it's go back to the 80s. Our president was shot. So there's never been a peaceful, calm time that I can recall. There's always a headline. There's always been friction. There's always been us against them. And you know what? People made a lot of money during that time. So just forget about it and look for the opportunity. You might have to pivot. One of the things that we pivoted from this year at this year and last was it was getting a little bit harder to find existing homes that made sense. So we pivoted back to new homes. Yep. Because we found that was a way that we could negotiate with builders. We could get them to buy the rate down. We have clients at RealWealth that they're getting 3.5% interest rates. It's a 10-year fix, but that's awesome.
We're doing the same.
And we're doing the same. So you just got to look for the opportunity and look at the headline as, okay, what's the opportunity this is presenting for me?
Hey family, real quick. If you'd rather watch your content, head over to Our Family Invests on YouTube. You'll find this episode and all our episodes over there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your takeaways in the comments. Now, back to the show.
What is one common myth about real estate investing that just drives you nuts?
For me, what I hear a lot is I have to invest here. Like I have a lot of friends in California and they're like, well, you're supposed to invest 30 minutes from your home so I can, manage it and go by and see the property. And it's like, that's still ingrained in so many people's heads. I don't know why, but Kathy and I, we own a couple properties around here because they're short-term rentals, but everything else, our whole portfolio is out of state.
And for me, it's that you need to have money. I would say if you took a billionaire today who is 90 years old and you said, I'm going to make you 20 again, but you're going to have no money. How do you think that billionaire would do? Would they take that deal?
100%.
So get over that you're 20 and have no money. What you need is knowledge. What you need is to be hanging around people who have that knowledge and are doing what you want to do. Because the more you soak that up like an AI, the quicker you will be that billionaire or millionaire or whatever you're trying to be. But what you have is youth. And that is the most valuable thing.
Yeah. I cannot buy that. I mean, Maybe you can in 10 years.
Who knows?
Slow it down.
Yeah. Okay. For couples just starting to invest together, what is one conversation that they should have?
Oh, man, another first conversation, investing together. Oh, you start.
Well, Kathy and I lead couples workshops sometimes. And
Yeah.
one of the exercises we have couples do, and it blows their mind, which sounds surprising, but it's creating a shared compelling vision. And so what we do is we give each of them a small stack of Post-it notes, and we give them about 45 minutes, and we write down, here's 10 areas of your life, your relationship, your family, your homes, your physical environment, all this. And we say, go around and write down what's your vision for this area of your life 10 years from now. And they each do it individually. And then we say, okay, now let's take some time and share that with each other and group those Post-it notes together in categories. And they start grouping them together. And then what they do is they create this shared compelling vision of where they both want to be in 10 years. Instead of one of them saying, thinking this is where I want to go, just like a business, when everyone is clear on the vision, they're all kind of rowing the boat in the same direction. And so as a couple, you have to have that be that unified front. So by understanding what you both want, and it can be surprising. It's like, I didn't know you wanted to go there. I wanted the same thing, or I didn't want to do that, whatever it is. So yeah. I think that's a huge one. It's starting with the shared vision of what you want to create together.
Yeah. And then the other thing, we've talked about this in couples retreats and presentations that we've done, is don't do your business or your financial talk during date night. It almost always happens. And we're guilty of it too. But how's that date night going to go? I don't think it's going to end up the way you want it to. If you start talking about bills, and everybody does, or why did you spend the money on this or that or whatever. Have weekly meetings that are financial and business, and all the household stuff. You're business partners at the end of the day. No matter whether you're really in a business or not, you are. And so have those meetings, have them as business meetings, use an L10 sort of situation. Rich can explain what that is, but then have your date nights be fun and sexy and like zero talk about business or money.
Yes, I love that. It's funny because your Post-it note analogy is something that we're kind of working on right now with Nico, is because we want to bring him into our
family vision,
right? Yeah, and creating a family team. And he is in a position right now where he's his own person, right? But he's not making great choices. And so we need to start.
He's also 9.
He's also 9. But we're trying to do stuff like that. Like, hey, what is your vision? What do you want out of this partnership, right? Because we're a team here. And yes, we are mom and dad first, but we're also a team, and you matter, and you have a voice too. So let's talk about, the things that, maybe 9-year-olds aren't used to talking about. And so I really like the Post-it note idea, because maybe I'll do that with him and have him go through that practice a little bit too.
And we have lots of colored Post-it notes. I think one of the things too that we've focused on business and couples visions and where we want our family to be, but kind of circling back and, talking about going to that camp is also our family vision and what that looks like and what that means and what responsibilities that comes with. So you got
to go to family camp this year, right?
Trying to incorporate that.
Are you guys going?
No, we can't this year, but we did it last year, and it was just awesome. You're going to get so much.
I remember there was a lot of FOMO when I saw all the photos and everything.
Yeah, I know.
Talk to you guys afterwards.
Make it work. But no, that's so important, is to include the kids into the family values, what's important to us as a family. And we would have our kids call us out because it was like, hey, these are the family values. Why do you have your phone out at dinner?
Yeah.
Let them be empowered to uphold these family values that everybody came up with. There was a time when our teenage daughter, honesty is one of our family values. We will forgive you if you tell us, we're going to forgive you anyway. But if you tell us, your punishment's going to be much less, right? And then if we have to find out. So anyway, Rich called our daughter into the room, and he was just joking, but he was like, Karina, come in here. And she walks in and she's like shaking.
Yeah.
And we both are like, my goodness, we were just joking.
Well, I said, is there anything you want to tell us?
Yeah. It's like, he looks at her, he's like, yeah, is there something you want to tell us? And she's like, I didn't go to the party. I didn't go to my friend's house. I went to a party. She like completely ratted herself out.
That's amazing.
And then he's like, okay, well, what do you think the consequences should be? Ground me for 3 months, And we're like, well, that is so much more extreme than we would have done.
I love that.
But it's because she was a part of the family value and she didn't want to let us down.
I love that. And did you even know about the party, Rich, or were you playing?
No, it was a pure joking around. Like she came to talk about something. And then
That's
I said,
hilarious.
yeah.
I love it.
I think we're talking about like we wanted her to help plan us a vacation. So he's like, Karina.
Something like that. Yeah, exactly. Just her reaction was like she was already loaded with guilt.
Right. Great foundation. I love it. Okay. Speaking of skills and family values, what's an underrated trait or skill that someone successful in real estate has?
I mean, this is going to sound so like obvious. Numbers. I cannot tell you how many times we have 88,000 members at RealWealth. And, sometimes we'll just be like, okay, well, someone will say like, what do you think about this property I found? Not through us on their own. We're like, I don't know, I need more than just the purchase price, right? And that's all they're thinking about. So it's like, no, you've got to know your spreadsheet. How much is the insurance, the taxes, the maintenance costs? What are the rents going to be? Are you verifying those rents, or did someone just tell you it might rent for this? So I know that sounds like obvious, but I feel like people don't do it.
No, that's a huge one. I mean, it's like, right, we're not taught that much in school. And so you have to, that's what I mean by you got to learn right in the beginning.
Yep.
And I would say it's kind of more of a soft skill, but it's curiosity. It's one of our core values at Real Wealth, being curious. Einstein said something about, I have no special skills. I'm only passionately curious, but so it's like, it's that curiosity that has you always questioning and looking and learning. So.
Yeah. I like the idea of numbers too, because it's hard. Like if you can't analyze a spreadsheet, then, I mean, you're probably not going to be very successful. Right?
You better learn. And that was an early on thing that I went to a presentation early on, but I didn't know anything about real estate. And it was this famous woman who had been on The Apprentice, and she was selling these condos in Vegas. And I was just in awe of her. She was beautiful, so well dressed. I'm like, I want whatever she's selling. And I came home and like, Rich, we're buying one of these. And he's like, well, can I see the numbers? Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah. And he just looks, he's like, this doesn't make sense. I'm telling you, she sold out. Like she sold out of those properties. A couple of years later, the market crashed and everybody lost their money. Yep. I mean, he literally like looked at it and it took him probably a half an hour to like.
She sold out more than one way.
Yeah, she sold out. Yeah. She sold out of those properties for people like me who were just enamored with her, so it's easy.
Yeah, that's funny because I think you really have to not trust other people's numbers too. You have to do your own due diligence. And I think, we had a deal that was sent to us recently, and it was sent with like from this reputable company. They do great stuff. And I'm not going to name who they are, but, 10% returns, everything else. Oh, wow. That sounds amazing. So we're looking at it and it doesn't take into account CapEx. It doesn't take into account any kind of repairs, any type of contingency. It's just 10% top line. It's like, okay, but this house needs a new roof in 5 years at least, and it's going to need a new HVAC system probably within the next year or two. I was like, those are huge expenses, and the returns are not really that great. So now I'm taking this down to like a 4% return, maybe. Yeah. Like this doesn't make any sense to me.
Put it in the bank.
Yeah. So even having like bigger institutions sending you stuff, it's still really important to be able to do your own numbers, I think.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Or at least ask the questions. And there's so many templates now available for people to plug in at the bare minimum to
put in the reps.
Yeah.
Put in the reps. Okay. You guys have built a life with tremendous freedom. How do you intentionally pass that mindset on to your children without creating entitlement?
Oh, that is so hard. It is so hard because the biggest problem that people make is as they do better, they move into better neighborhoods. Their kids are around wealthier people. When we first got married, Rich was sleeping on the floor of his gym, and, I was renting a place and renting out the 2 other rooms in the place. I mean, my oldest daughter was raised with no money. And then all of a sudden our younger daughter is raised with money. So, like, it's so hard when the other kids have a BMW on their 16th birthday and you're looking at your kid saying, sorry, that's not going to happen. You're going to buy your own car.
Yeah. Well, what we did with our kids is one of the tools that we used was we said, whatever you raise in money for your first car, we'll match it. So we wanted them a good car, a good safe car, not buy a beater, but we also didn't want to just buy them a car. So we kind of showed them how to earn it and how, have a matching program basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me of my growing up. My dad was like, okay, you're 15 today. Let's go to McDonald's. I was like, oh, okay, great. It's my birthday. Oh no, it was going to get a job. I went to get a job at 15.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
his dad worked corporate McDonald's.
Yeah, my dad was like an engineer for McDonald's. He's like, let's go to McDonald's. So I started the next day, and I had to buy my own car. And I was also limited to what I could buy. So, like, at the time, this is all right. So this is in the 90s.
This is a long time ago.
And early 90s. So like I'm looking at like, well, I can maybe afford a Geo Metro. You remember those? But my dad, nope. I ended up getting a 1986 Cutlass Supreme because it was big enough that if anybody hit me, I'm probably going to be safe. And this rust bucket had to sit in my dad's driveway, which he didn't appreciate. But like that was all I could afford. I couldn't get a new car,
It's just so important. Same with our daughter. We said, we'll pay half. She ended up telling someone she was babysitting for that she had to pay for half her car. So that lady sold her Jeep, gave Karina a really good deal.
Right.
And, Karina was driving this old Jeep and all of her friends at school were driving, like I said, brand new BMWs. Guess who had the most popular car?
Definitely.
Everyone wanted to drive her car. And I don't know why she had that cool factor, but I think there was like this knowing that she did it herself and they didn't have that same like self-esteem.
Yeah, everyone has BMWs.
Yeah.
Well, but also like, now that we've seen kids in affluent areas, because they're not maybe going to go get that job at McDonald's, they don't have the same self-esteem that you got dealing with customers, knowing how to use a cash register, showing up, having a job.
Comfort crisis.
And so now, our daughters will say a lot of these kids in Malibu are still at home. They're in their mid-20s. They don't know how to exist in this world. They're probably going to inherit everything, so they're going to be fine. But are they? But are they?
Yeah. How many generations are they going to be fine for?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. Usually it's only, 2 after a big inheritance that end up losing all the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at this point in life, recessions starting from the bottom, how do you define real wealth?
The same way we've always done it.
Since 2003, our definition's been having the money and the freedom to live life on your own terms. So that's our purpose at Real Wealth, is helping people create real wealth. And it came from our own purpose and the way we wanted to live.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
Not just the freedom of time, but also not just the freedom of money, but both together, because they both are empowering.
Yeah. One thing Rich will say is, or you've heard it somewhere, some people are so poor, all they have is money.
Yeah.
So, recession or not, I remember in the 2008 recession, we did lose a lot. We didn't know what we know today, and it was a really hard time for us. And I went out hiking on the same trail that I hiked all the time. And I had this like realization, like, I'm still hiking the same trail that I've hiked all the time. In fact, the things that I love to do really aren't that expensive. The things that mean the most to me, like Rich playing with our grandkids, cost nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, understanding, really knowing your core value, what matters most, and living your life around it, I bet you it's not that expensive.
100%.
Yeah.
Speaking of your grandkids, what do you hope that your kids or your grandkids learn from how you live and work?
I'm going to go with health. Yeah. Just watching us walk the talk and constantly doing things, eating healthy, working out, having fun, playing. Like when Leo was over here yesterday, it was all physical. He didn't have a single screen in his hand the whole time.
And zero interest in it. He's like most kids, really like once did just all the battles of, I want the iPad. No, you had it for a half hour. Just all of that. He never asked for it at our house because there's so much fun physical stuff to do. And I think because the minute I see him, I hand him protein. It really does. Like
Get some
kids,
grounded.
they need to be grounded.
What do you hand your 5-year-old protein? Like how, in what, like
what form?
powder? Like,
Creative.
Yeah.
I mean,
Beef sticks.
there's I am sneaky. I'm super sneaky. So a chocolate smoothie will be just loaded with bone broth protein.
yeah.
And he thinks he's having a chocolate milkshake. Pancakes he loves, and I load him with eggs and no flour. It's just oats and eggs and a little banana. And he just thinks he's having a pancake.
Yesterday she made him salmon and he ate
He ate the whole thing.
Really?
Which makes it yummy.
Wow.
Yeah,
Salmon's
yeah.
not an easy texture or flavor for a lot of people.
Especially
for him.
5-year-old.
Well,
Yeah.
when he was little, I would, apparently your taste buds form when you're a baby. So I would give him everything.
Right.
And he would eat asparagus and broccoli, and each day he loves broccoli and salmon. So, if you just give them white stuff, yogurt and, pasta, of course, they're never going to develop taste buds for anything else.
Yeah, good point. All right, guys, we're going to start lightening it up here a little bit. So I want to know, you guys are one of the couples that really, really do inspire us. And we truly mean that. But I want to know, who are 3 people or books or places that inspire you?
I mean, I'm always inspired. A lot of people share this one, but Richard Branson is pretty inspiring. The way he lives, the way he delegates, the way he goes out and has fun and adventures, and the way he's making a huge difference in the world. So he's a huge inspiration as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to say Barbara Corcoran, and she was like the first that came to mind because she's super authentic, she's funny. And, from what I've heard her say, she just treats her staff really well and likes to give them bonuses and huge incentives and stuff. I don't know if any of this is true. It's just what I've seen. She posted on Instagram that she got her 3rd facelift. It's just so authentic. And, she's like, here I am, and real. And so powerful.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
When do you feel most at peace?
Nature. Yeah. Just in nature, being unplugged and just having, just slowing down and sitting next to a bubbling brook, or I could be on the side of a cliff climbing it. But they both bring peace.
Yeah, I would say surfing, paddle surfing specifically, because it's just so beautiful and tranquil. But also the adrenaline probably brings more peace afterwards.
Yeah.
And then riding. There's a lot of mountain biking around here, and it's just so beautiful. So I think for me, like I think I'm hyperactive, so I have to do kind of an intense workout to just get my mind to calm down and get into that peaceful state.
Love it.
Yeah. In just one sentence, what would you whisper to your younger self?
Oh, my younger self had very low self-esteem.
I was just going to say the same thing.
ADHD and, what they call it, hyperkinetic disorder back then. I was on Ritalin and really bad in school. But okay, so the one sentence I'd say, Rick, you can learn, self-learn. I know school sucks, but you can teach yourself anything you want. Have a vision. That's very vital. And move on with discipline after that. The more you work on your discipline, the more disciplined.
It's so funny because he hated school, but he is today like constantly learning. He reads every book that comes out or listens to it anyway. So it's funny. So all of that is true. Yeah, I had low self-esteem as well. You wouldn't know it because I had lots of friends and stuff. But yeah, there's just this piece of valuing who you are. I took it and just value who you are.
What would you say to little Kathy?
Little Kathy. That's what I mean. Just like you're special. You are loved. You have value.
Awesome.
That's so good. I'm going to actually repeat that to Nico today when he gets home, because he needs to hear some of that too. We're hard on him more often than we should be. Yeah.
And he's an amazing kid.
He is
an amazing kid.
He's an amazing kid. He's a wise soul.
I think Uncle Rich is the only one I would feel comfortable with him throwing axes with. He loves that. He's like,
Yeah.
and anytime he sees a slack line at the beach, he's like, oh, that's Uncle Rich's slack line, right?
It's so cute.
Yeah.
He's a sweetheart.
Awesome.
Yeah, he loves you guys. He definitely wants to visit you guys often. And so you're definitely an inspiration. And The Wise Investor was the first like real book that he ever read.
That is so sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah. Guys, we like to end by saying we learn, we share, we grow. What is one thing that you've learned recently that helped you to just kind of stop, take a breath, and see life differently?
I'm going to say, we both turned 60. Yeah, I turned 60 this year. He did last year. And that was just kind of eye-opening for me that like now, I know this sounds so morbid, but like I count my summers and I count like time is the most important thing. And how to spend it. Yeah, just knowing that our time, no matter what age you are, you never know when the last day is going to be. And you never know how long you're going to be healthy. So, make sure you're living intentionally.
Yeah, and very similar for me. It's exactly what you said. Really, it's been about 3 years now, so it's fairly recent. But for me, I committed to daily meditation, just a minimum of 10 minutes. Sometimes I'll do 15, 20. But in the beginning, it was really, really hard to slow my mind down. And then I just learned through taking some meditation courses that it's all about coming back to the now more than quieting the mind. And now 3 years into it, I'm much more able to get right into the present moment and stay in the present moment, which allows me to do exactly what you're saying, meditation.
I love that. I probably should practice meditation. Mike has gotten really good at it. I would rather go surf, but
Yeah.
I love that. If our audience wants to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
RealWealth.com is our website. And The Real Wealth Show is my podcast. And Scaling Smart is our book.
Love it. Guys, thank you so much for coming on with us today. You're just such amazing people. And I know you dropped so much good information that I'm going to re-listen to this right now, actually.
Awesome.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Great. Love you guys.
Thanks for being part of the family today. If you want a closer look at our journey through real life, business, and all the wild adventures, follow us on Instagram at Our Family Invest. And for free resources to help you on your own path, head to ourfamilyinvest.com.
If you like this episode, send it to a friend. And if you're feeling extra generous, drop us a quick review. It really helps us grow this community. Thank you so much for being part of our family today. We really, truly appreciate you.